Hello, welcome back to a new game, Paperbark 2018. It was released for $12. It's all about an Australian wombat. It was actually also fact-checked by a Dr Emma Razang, I think her name was. So I like it when a game has themselves fact-checked. It's done by a Victorian developer company called Paper House, which is in Victoria. So Ryan Bolton, who's the founder of that company, designed a program where you can...
From deep in the soil to the tops of the trees, the Australian bush teems with plant and animal life. Winter rain and warm spring days encourage growth throughout the bush. But as summer progresses, the land bakes under the relentless sun.
And that was the introduction.
The paperbark tree.
So the paperbark tree is just a kind of a tree that was very significant for the Aboriginal or the Indigenous people, as it provided
There is a
them,
wombat who lives under a paperbark tree.
as it provided them with everything they needed: shelter, bark, all sorts of things. We are introduced to our protagonist, the wombat here. It's normally how I wake up in the morning. You can hear magpies in the background, and it's just showing us the general how the aim works. So Ryan Bolton was the founder of Paper House. He designed a program so that it could artistically portray photographs, so to speak. So we're actually looking at the natural wildlife inspired by the Grampians, and I can't remember where else. I think it's King Lake from memory, National Park. But anyway, I'll talk about the Grampians a bit later in another chapter. The idea is to just run around and find all the hidden objects. This will be 100% walkthrough. I'll try my best. The paw prints are basically telling you where you need to go. It's pretty much a dictated path. There are some hidden areas. We've just knocked over our poo. I'll talk about that in a minute. Just a couple of things up front. One, wombats are nocturnal. Yeah, we're not off to a good start with the fact checking, are we? Look, they can come out in the early mornings if the temperature is lower than their burrow temperature. But mostly they just are nocturnal creatures. The other thing is, it's customary for wombats to sleep on their back with their paws facing upwards, especially if they're relaxed. A wombat might come out during the day, early morning like this, especially if they're diseased with mange, and I'll talk about that a bit later. So we might, but we seem to have a healthy fur coat, so we don't seem to have mange. Other than the flies are following us, so it might be, because flies are a very big problem for wombats. And we're evidently not relaxed, so we weren't, maybe the reason why we weren't sleeping on our back. Because we were hiding there from predators, maybe. But anyway, there's three types of wombats. Firstly, the common nose wombat, which we seem to be here.
Fallen logs are no match for this hungry wombat.
And that's the end of the game, guys. We don't get through this. No. Wouldn't that be funny if that was the end of the game? And as I said, we're a common-nosed wombat, mostly found around the whole of Australia. You do get animals that you need to find, and this is part of a soundboard you can create. And then you got the northern haired-nosed wombat. That's only found in the Epping National Park in Queensland, or of 2 other places now. So that type of wombat got down to about 30, and now we've bred them to about 400 today, which is good. So we've brought them back from very close to extinction. But wombats are endangered in general. They can easily just be wiped off the planet, really. And Australia has one of the worst, or is the leading worst in extinct mammals, believe it or not. Then you got the southern haired-nosed wombat. Now you'll notice that we keep knocking poo off. So wombats are the only creatures in the world that actually poo cubes. We know the reason why that is now. So basically, what's happening is, if you imagine holding a rubber band at 2 ends and pushing it inwards, you would get like a cube, sort of. And that's what's happening when inside the intestine of a wombat, and that's why it officially poos all this cube fecal matter. And we know that wombats are communicating through their cube poos, but we haven't deciphered it. Basically, through their poos, they communicate both the ability to mate and territorial, their territory. So their territory can, especially with the common-nosed wombat, range about 57 acres, somewhere around there. And over that 57 acres, they may have somewhere around 14 different burrows that they have designed around the place. They are communal when it comes to their burrows. They'll often share them with other wombats. But as for the territory, it's their own territory. Now, a group of wombats is called a wisdom of wombats. Not that when you find a whole group together, they're wiser. It's more the fact that it's a Australian joke where a noun is used whenever there's a collection of anything. So you'll have like a crackle of cockatoos, a bowl of spoonbills, a wisdom of wombats, a mob of kangaroos, etc. I don't really understand why it's a joke. It's more of a tradition than anything else. For students to learn the different groupings and what they're called. That's basically about it. But basically with their poos, actually we're about to hit the second chapter.
The wombat does not notice the little fairy wrens, but the fairy wrens definitely notice the wombat.
There we go. Ah, now I'm relaxed. That sleeping position. No time to sleep. That's funny, yes.
The wetlands. The wombat will eat when it's hungry, regardless of who is in the way.
So wombats do not eat. They're herbivores, or just graze. And that's what I was saying, like, we don't know how they really communicate. We need more studies on wombat poo. We need more government grants so that we can really study the wombat poo. We do understand how the wombats are pooing cubes, but we don't understand how they're communicating through it. They might be saying something like along the lines of, "Hey, I've got weed back at my burrow. Come get some weed," since they're all grazing. Something along those lines. And so a female wombat will go, "Oh, awesome. I'm going to come see your burrow." We seem to be a male. We've got no pouch, as I can see when he flipped over. We're a common nose wombat, as I said. So you get common nose, which is around Australia. You got northern haired wombats, which are hairy nosed wombats, which are in Epping Forest, Queensland mainly. And you got southern nose wombats, which is in South Australia. Now, when it says hairy nose, they're referring to the whiskers, and also identified by the hairs on the inside of the wombat as well. So basically the species is identified by the hair on their nose and inside their nose. Also, there's 3 subspecies of the common wombat, but that's more based on location of where it's found. And that's Australia, Tasmania and Flinders Island, where you get 3 subspecies of common nose wombat. Other places as well, but they're the main ones. So wombats are good swimmers. They have no problems with swimming. They can't climb trees, or common nose wombats can't, so we can't climb a tree. Northern hairy wombats can climb. And we found another part to our soundboard. So no one has died by a wombat in any way. A wombat will bite. It is quite powerful. It will bite and penetrate skin. Wombats will have mauled a person, but no one has ever died. And even diseased wombats, like mange wombats, no one's ever died from the disease they carry or anything along those lines. So wombats largely became endangered due to a couple of reasons. Habitat. Mange is the biggest one. Back in the old days, they used to eat wombat meat. Now you wouldn't be able to. But it was very similar to venison, apparently. So here we have a crackle of spoonbills. A bowl of spoonbills, sorry.
The spoonbills are not startled by the wandering wombat.
So this shows you how endangered wombats are. The mange disease, which I'll talk about in a minute, that went and killed over a 6-year period 96% of wombats in Tasmania, 94% in 6 years in a national park. Only 3 wombats survived. So it's a very deadly disease. It was introduced to Australia. Basically, it's mites infest the wombat, and the mites themselves don't kill, but they do irritate the wombat where he keeps scratching himself, and eventually his open wounds will be infected by the flies, and that's what really kills him. They eventually become blind and deaf, and they kind of look horrible. I'll show a picture at the end of the video. They kind of look like a zombie wombat. It's 100% fatal for a wombat without human intervention. So if you ever do see a mange wombat, here's another secret soundboard. by all means, always contact RSPCA, some government official, to report the wombat, because it's easy treatable. They treat it like they would fleas on a dog. Basically, they put some mixture on a healthy wombat skin, and eventually, with a recurring application of that mixture, it will eventually, the wombat will come good. And sometimes if you can't get to the wombat, because the wombats might be a bit territorial, or they can put it over the top of the burrows. I'll show that at the end of the video as well. So wombats can travel about 40 kilometers per hour. They can rush a person if they feel cornered. I might see if I can show a video of that afterwards as well. Basically, that's the same speed as the Usain Bolt. I think he travelled about 42 kilometers per hour is his best. So a wombat can travel that as well. So the mixture they use is something like Sidectin, and it's a 10 to 15 week treatment once a week on a healthy skin, and they just tip it on top of the wombat's back where it's healthy, and that will get rid of the mites and so forth. But as I said, it's not the mites that kill the wombat, it's basically the wombat scratching itself.
The wombat enjoys a good scratch before moving on in search of more food.
This is what I do every morning as well. Wombats do this also to mark their territory as well. They live there centered.
The river birds. A hot, dry wind ruffles the wombat's fur and whispers a warning to the birds.
So a reason why wombats sleep on their back with their paws upwards in the sky is because it helps thermoregulate temperature. Because wombats don't actually have sweat glands, so they have to be very careful. And that's also the reason why they won't come out on a hot day, because they just need to be careful. That's why they'll come out if the temperature drops underneath the burrow temperature or is equal to. So that's why they're nocturnal. As I said, wombats can have up to 14 burrows in their territory, around about that. They do share their burrows with other creatures as well, like you'll see rabbits, koalas, of course not predators. So yeah, this is based on grampians and kingley. So as I said, Ryan Bolton from Paper House made a program where he could pictures could transfer, I guess, into a painting, and they wanted to use this to improve a more serious look to Australian wildlife, because always in games Australian wildlife had been changed into something comical, sort of like the Taz game and Crash Bandicoot. Always Australian wildlife was shown comical, and where they wanted to produce a realistic game and sort of inform gamers about that. And when I say this game was fact-checked, Dr Emma Razang was particular on things like what colour the feathers of the black cockatoo should be, where I kind of feel like some things were missed on this when it came to fact-checking. Nina Bolton and Terry Burdack were the other two developers from Thornbury, Victoria, and they all make up, they're the co-founders, and they're the ones that wanted a realistic game, or pushed it to be done in that direction. So the word wombat is actually from an indigenous language, Darug, I think it's called, that is now an extinct language. So the civilizations, we only know a few words on how it's supposed to be pronounced, wombat, but it's actually an extinct language now. They're trying to, I guess, bring it back to life. But it will never be the same as what it originally was. We've lost too much in translation. The Europeans, when they first came to Australia, used the word wombat when they mixed in with the Darug people. But it was spelt differently. It was spelt Wombatt. That was the original. Black cockatoo, part of the soundboard. So that was the first way that the word wombat was ever used. There you go, there's the soundboard. But over time, it translated. It went through various translations to wombat, to all sorts of things, and now it's gone back to a simplified version of what the original word was, wombat, W-O-M-B-A-T, instead of how it originally was, W-H-O-M-B-A-T-T.
Smoke and ash tickle the wombat's nose.
So the largest wombat ever found was Phos Hollandus, which weighed about 360 kilograms. But they're esteemed they died about 40,000 years ago, I think. And probably as the environments have changed in Australia, so atmosphere, vegetation changes, that animal just went extinct. I believe it was hunted. Interestingly, that wombat was found in every parts of Australia except for Western Australia. We've never found that giant wombat in Western Australia. Now I have missed one here, so I'm going to have to edit. I've done the other two 100% chapters. I missed one somewhere, so I'll trigger the end, and then I'll find out where I've missed. I'm trying to produce a video so everyone can see where to go. Oh, I had 100%.
The wombat watches the birds fly away. It too needs to find somewhere safe from the flames.
So this is the one I missed.
Smoke and ash tickle the wombat's nose.
When you cut that, so you can go backwards, more likely to find it. And you just want to click on the hidden insect there.
The bushfire. The fire advances hard and fast. The wombat must find shelter.
So there's nothing actually to find here, and the fire will never kill you. As I said, this game is based on the Grampians National Park. which is one of my favourite places in Australia to visit. Used to be. The reason why I say used to be is because fire damage has killed a lot of the wildlife there now, and it's very hard to find things like koalas, never mind wombats and things like that. And the reason why, unfortunately, the Grampians come to a bushfire is because the government didn't upgrade fire tracks, and so the fire trucks could never get to the fires in time.
The wombat cannot see or smell its way through the thick smoke.
Now, wombat burrows are a safe place in bushfires, and as I said, other animals will also hide inside from predators and when a bushfire comes. So it's crucial to keep the wombats around because they will help conserve.
As a last hope, the wombat digs. The earth will protect it from the flames.
And a wombat So I was just waiting for the voiceover to finish.
The cool change.
There's 6 chapters, I think, in this game.
Cool raindrops sizzle as they hit the hot ash. It is safe now to leave the burrow.
So a wombat, when he's being chased by a predator, will run into a burrow and basically block the burrow with his backside because it's mainly bone, and the predator won't be able to get in. Even though most burrows have, like one burrow might have 8 entrances to it, it's that complicated, and it will run a very big distance. Is why so many animals can hide from bushfires inside. So it's crucial that we save the wombat. Now, there is an urban legend that wombats will cleverly position themselves so that the predator will stick their head up on top, and then the wombat will raise its backside and crush the head of the predator. That is an urban legend. It is a sensational rubbish made up by YouTubers. That's not the case at all. There is no scientific proof to back that up at all. Wombats will basically just blockade a burrow. They won't purposely go to crush a predator with their backside. The other urban legend is that wombats shepherd other animals into their burrows when times of bushfire. That is sensational, made up from the Greenpeace. It was located back to. While other animals will use a wombat's burrow, the wombat by no means goes around and shepherds other animals into its burrow. So again, that's an urban legend today that many people parrot and talk about and share, and it's not true. So wombats will not crush a predator on purpose. There's no scientific proof to back that up, and wombats do not shepherd other animals into their burrows at times of bushfire. So a female wombat also has a backward facing pouch. This stops it from collecting dirt when it's trying to burrow. So one thing I forgot to add is that the wombat will probably poo 100 cubes per night, which is quite interesting because their digestive system lasts for about 14 days, so they can go for a long time without food. This actually does remind me of the Grampians National Park. Wombats' teeth also forever grow. They don't stop growing. They don't have roots. None of their teeth have roots. Wombats will live about 15 years in the wild. Interestingly, in captivity, they can last up to 34 years. Maybe we should have more wombats in as pets. Pets. Everyone has a wombat. That would be cool. So one of the interesting things found out in 2020 is that wombats have biofluorescent fur in the fact that it shines under a UV light, which I think that beauty has largely through the decline of wombats. We don't see that beauty as from a group pack mentality. Like if you saw wisdom of wombats, I think that would look interesting under the UV light. Why they have that, no one knows.
The cockatoos sift through the ash for seeds, while the wombat searches for unburnt grasses.
One other thing I'd like to point out is that the hairy-nosed wombat only has 10 acres. So a common-nosed wombat has about 57 acres in territory, whereas the hairy-nosed, and I think short-nosed as well, short hairy-nosed, south hairy-nosed, sorry, northern hairy-nosed and south hairy-nosed, they have about 10 acres. Ultimately, this was a game, I guess, to help broaden people's appreciation for the Australian outback. And I guess it does show that I think a little bit more could be done to promote ultimately how dangerous mange is, which is, you know, crazy stuff, which this game doesn't really highlight anything about. But it could also sort of help on the basis of showing how important the wombat sparrow system is to survive bushfires, where we only see it save itself, which I think was an opportunity missed, showing how important wombat conservation should be. Ultimately, the game was just to show off a paint program, and also to help promote Australian landscapes and nature and all that more often. The wombat is actually short-sighted, very bad short-sighted, which actually matches this whole, if you imagine all the clouds of the sort of the boundary of the wombat's eyesight. So the wombat actually relies heavily on its whiskers for smell, which is strange because ultimately they're just smelling grass and things like that, as they're a grazing animal. I can hear something here, but I can't see it. Again, I'm probably not going to be able to 100% this chapter, so what I'll do is I'll edit it in after when I cut to the chapter scene. I'll edit in what I've missed for those trying to 100% the game. So we're a common nose wombat. We're male. We've established that.
Eventually, the land will recover and the plants will regrow. In the meantime, the wombat needs a new home.
I mean, the painting landscape is beautiful. Now, this developing company from Thornbury, basically a founder and two co-founders, they've released this game, and they've released a game called, I think it's called Wood and Weather, but it's only a demo version. And I've played that, and I'm actually quite impressed. So while I've scathed the factual side of this to some degree, this is actually a beautiful game, and it plays out like a storybook. There's no stress. Just go around, find the hidden items as best as you can, and it does introduce you to Australian wildlife and nature, and it is fun just to go around. This game isn't by any means perfect. If you press escape and go back, often the game will break and you'll have to log out completely and log back in, because it will fill in that you've already found the painted scenes.
The wombat smells fresh grass just on the other side of the fence.
Can't go back. And the other aggravating thing is you can go past the chapter point and you can't go back. Like, you might see a insect you've missed, you can't go back to it. And we found another piece of the soundboard, so we are filling in the soundboard. Only got 4 more characters to find, which must be all in this last part. Chapter. So again, I'll go back and find out what I've missed. There are 3 different endings to this game. I will show you all the endings as well. So hopefully this video has helped you become a wombat expert and you have a new appreciation for Australian wildlife. Hopefully you've learned something. I think I've covered pretty much everything. So there's still things that we can learn. Learn how wombats communicate to each other is probably one of the biggest ones. Not just through noise, but through their poo. And we know they're communicating because other wombats will go and smell poo and then act accordingly. So this is how we know they're transmitting territorial markings, and they're also communicating their ability to mate through their poo. One thing that's interesting about that is, let's say a tree drops in a person's territory, a wombat's territory. The wombat will go and poo on top of that tree if that ever happens, like a fallen log or something. So the game showing that poo on top of a fallen log is actually quite factual.
wombat is tired from the long journey.
So this is the ending, guys. This is the end of the game. I'm going to go to... I like how you can see that this place has just gone through a fire hazard. It was extreme with that fallen sign there. So there's one with the basket there, but it doesn't open up until you reach the first ending, which is the house. And there's another hidden insect up the top, so I'll find that first, which is up here. Now normally that will unlock another creature on the soundboard, but I've missed one, so let's activate the ending, which is going towards the house.
It is safe here.
Well,
This is home.
it's not really safe because we would be sleeping upside down with our paws upwards. We know the person inside is going to make us into wombat stew. Okay, so this is what I missed. If you go to the cockatoo area, there's quite a few in here. I've missed this secret path. So there's one of the insects. Just got to find one more. So if you want to support this crew, I really do like this development company, Paper House. I will show their website at the end. That's part of the soundboard. They sell board games. They sell books on making games. They sell shareware. And this is the last insect I found. So if you go to the fallen log here, and that's what I missed right there on the rock. And now we get that creature as part of the soundboard. So I'm only missing one now, and the one is the cockatoo, which is right here. So I walk straight from the water tank and then turn around and just grab the cockatoo lying on the top of it. And that's a complete soundboard. So hopefully that helps you out. As you can see, I have everything, and this is the soundboard. I have no idea other than novelty. This is the second ending. This is inside the doghouse.
It is safe here.
No, it's not.
This is home.
If it was safe, I'd be sleeping upside down with my paws in the air. I'd be relaxed. The dog's going to come back and bite me. And this is the third and final ending. I love this one the most.
It is safe here. This is home.
Nearly got it right. Dr Emma Razang, find another job. Okay, so this is the credits, as I say. So we have Ryan Bolton, who is the founder of Paper House, and Nina Bennett and Terry Burdock, who are the co-founders. So instead of going through the credits completely, I'll just show you. So Ryan Bolton is the founder, and Terry Burdock and Nina Bennett are the co-founders. And so Ryan Bolton is the one on the right hand side, and then you got Nina and Terry, who are the ones on the left hand side. Ryan is the one that made the program, and Nina and Terry are the ones that sort of focused onto Australian wildlife. So, very good job, guys. I'm really impressed with the amount of work you put into this. This is just to prove that I did get 100% every chapter. So 6 chapters all up. This is a soundboard again. So 100% of the game. This is Paper House. This is where it was in Thornbury, Melbourne. They like to create local games. This is their website. This is where you can buy books about making games and how games work. This is the best place I've ever seen. I've never seen anything like this. Go visit their store. It's just amazing. Kudos for inventing this type of shop. I'm really impressed, guys. A beautiful collection of books and many rare and low, nearly out of print stuff. The list goes on. These are video games they use using floppy disk and shareware. I'm not understanding how this, but you can get it pretty cheap using shareware. And this is their board games. I used to be a board game collector as well, just don't have the space anymore. I have some of these games. There's a lot I've never seen before, so they like to deal with rare stuff as well. Trying to find one. I have Herbaceous. I enjoyed that one, about growing stuff. This is a video showing you how wombats will communal share. So you got a koala, you got a rabbit. This is showing how wombats can travel up to 40 kilometers per hour. It's pretty scooting. They can definitely rush. As I said, no one's ever died. They do more. This is showing how wombats sleep on their back when they're relaxed. That's part of thermoregulation. This is the mite that the mange mite that, and this is what a wombat looks like if it's under mange. As I said, the mange mite isn't killing it, but the wombat will incredibly keep itching itself and eventually go blind and deaf and everything. So if you ever see a wombat like that, do report it to authorities and they will deal with it straight away. The wombats can be saved. And this is finally a video showing how they treat a wombat. So they'll put this device over a wombat's burrow and it will help the wombat. Well, I hope you enjoyed it. Wombat experts, join me next time for another game. See you then. Bye.